You started your business to do the work, not to chase missed calls, dig through texts, or wonder if your team followed up on that Tuesday lead. But that's where most businesses leak money, and Quo was built to fix that. Every missed call is an opening for a competitor to take the customer you already earned. With Quo, all your calls, texts, and voicemails live in one place, so anyone on your team can pick up a conversation, see the full history, and respond fast. Setup takes minutes. Keep your number and scale as your team grows. No IT, no hassle. Plus, when you're offline, Quo's AI agent handles after-hours calls, answers questions, and books appointments, so you're never handing a lead to the competition. That's why Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2, trusted by over 90,000 businesses. Money is on the line. Always say hello with Quo. Try Quo for free, then get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/tryquo. That's QUO.com/tryquo.
You want to get your backyard summer ready, but you don't want to break the bank? Wayfair gets it. Planning on dining al fresco or relaxing poolside? Wayfair has everything you need to prep your space. Shop now and save up to 70% off during Wayfair's 4th of July clearance. Score huge deals on outdoor furniture, area rugs, and more. We're talking thousands of products for every style and budget. Plus, surprise flash deals July 6th. Don't wait. Shop Wayfair's 4th of July clearance now through July 6th at wayfair.com.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Hello and welcome to LDS Loudmouth. I'm Kim.
I'm Jane.
And this is where we are learning to speak up
And reach out.
making our world a better place.
Because each of us is a part of it. Welcome back to those who've listened before, and a big welcome to those who are new. Our episode title today is Coming Out Stories. And since I don't have one, we're going to have to use Kim's. Kim, can you give us some background on your life?
Yeah, I guess so, right? Huh? Yeah, so thanks. Today's a getting to know you, getting to know all about you type of day for me. Welcome. As I may have said before, as I am bisexual, and a lot of the background on that has to do with like my childhood and all these other things. I've always known I've been attracted to women. As a child, I always found breasts attractive, and not just in the way that I wanted them for myself as I got older. This idea was deemed inappropriate by church and family and society growing up in the 90s, so I flipped the focus to pectorals on a dude, and now I find a well-developed chest on both sexes very attractive. My bisexuality kind of simmered under the surface growing up, where I was able to genuinely take a stance that you could choose who you were attracted to. I thought everyone was able to choose between acceptable attraction and, quote, attraction that should be ignored. If you genuinely think that all people can choose who they can be attracted to because you can, newsflash, that's not norm or how everyone else works. So you're probably bi. That was just kind of a thing with me. I was like, I just thought, well, if I can choose, why can't everyone else? You know, because that's just something that I can do. So
you found everybody attractive.
I found a lot of people attractive. And so I was just like, oh, okay, But I was able to have the choice of who I would date because of what that was.
Yes.
So along the way, I think I might have been in high school or just graduated. My mom told me a personal story of when she was in high school or college. She tried to see if she could make herself be attracted to one of her female buddies, who most people considered really attractive, to test if you could really, quote, choose to be gay, like the prophets of her time stated was the case. My mom said she remembered looking her friend over for a while, considering all the things that made her genuinely attractive, and found her experiment working because she was feeling things within her body, reacting in ways she had normally reserved for her general attraction to men. So my mom said this scared her, and she shut down the thoughts quickly and never took out the experience to confront them again. Her conclusion to her experience was that you could, quote, choose, and the prophets are right. She very much believed from her personal experience that sexuality was a slippery slope. A year or two after hearing my mom's story, I had graduated from high school, and my middle brother, Clark, was in his senior year. Probably in reference to my mom's story and being told by so many of our surrounding peers that he was gay, Clark was a pretty boy and a bit effeminate in his vanity. He decided to experiment for himself. So Clark took it to the next level. He told me he had a friend who was gay and asked him if he could kiss him to see if he was gay also. His friend seemed happy with the proposal and agreed. Clark said that kissing his friend did not result in similar feelings to my mom's involved experiment. Clark said he was disgusted by the kiss and instantly knew that he was straight. With that frame of reference, looking back on my mom's experiment makes me realize that she was likely bi, like me, but stuffed it down all the signs as everyone's experience and never pursued women because dating men was the more acceptable thing to do. And she never was attracted to another girl enough to crush on or make that connection. Or it could also be that Dr. Lisa Diamond was right, that for certain people, there is always a sexual outlier like her friend. But since bisexuality is genetic, I'm going to go with first.
Sounds right.
Yeah. When I was 20, before my mission, I worked at a pizza place, and one of my female friends encouraged me to kiss her in order to impress a male coworker she liked, and I thought it sounded fun and agreed. I was surprised to realize that when I kissed her, I felt something, and figured there must be something to this. As Katy Perry once said, I kissed a girl and I liked it. This is when the pieces started kind of falling into place for me, and I slowly came out to myself. After my mission, I came home to the whole Prop 8 debacle in my California singles ward. Hearing so much anti-gay marriage rhetoric over the pulpit was disgusting. I had friends outside the church that were queer. What gave us the right to impose our arrogant ideals onto their personal lives? The one time my now husband ever came to church with me was for a fifth Sunday, where the entire third hour was about the evils of gay marriage and how we should vote yes on Prop 8. I contemplated leaving, but didn't in hopes it would get better. It did not get better. My boyfriend, now husband, lost all personal interest in the church after that.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I know. For a long time, I've known I was attracted to both sexes, but didn't identify with the label bisexuality because it seemed to only be a small part of who I was as a person as a whole. I didn't really tell anyone else except for a couple select friends and my now husband when we first started dating about 16 years ago. I was more than my sexuality, and it wasn't anyone else's damn business as far as I was concerned. After I got married and started having children, it felt weird and disingenuous to come out as bi to anyone else outside my husband and closest friends. But if it walks and quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck, was the thought I always had when I felt icky to say the words, I'm bi, out loud. It was undeniable if you really looked at it. Over the last 5 years, I slowly came out to more people. My best friend Jane.
Gee, who is that?
In my ward in New Jersey, who had 2 very queer non-binary kids. My mom, a few months before COVID took her, it was a passing thing. Quote, by the way, Mom, I'm bi, I said to her. Oh, really? Okay, was her response. I didn't want to make a big deal of it, and it was the best response I could have gotten.
Exactly. Okay, how was coming out to your other family members and other friends that you weren't maybe as close to? And then, of course, how was it coming out to your ward family?
I came out to my 2 younger brothers, Clark and Alan, while we were cleaning out my mom's house after her passing. I had been playing a choose your own adventure romance app on my phone, where the main character was bi, and my brothers asked me what I was playing. I told them what it was, and one of them asked, quote, you're just buying the game, right? I smiled to myself and said, no, as I watched their jaws drop. I found the over-the-top surprised, shocked reactions entertaining, to say the least. especially my brother Clark, who is the middle child with his over-the-top, flailing expressions and gestures of surprise and shock. He is very animated. I explained my previous experiences to them, and my youngest brother, Alan, said it explained a lot. Thanks, dude. Genuinely though. My middle brother asked me idiotic questions involving women, about inviting women into my bedroom, suggesting that since I was bi, I must have an insatiable sexual desire for both sexes and obviously cannot be filled by my husband. It had never even crossed my mind that someone would make such an assumption about bisexual people. But through talking with others, I found out that this is sadly common with less informed people. I informed my brother that I am happy with my monogamous marriage and wasn't about to ruin it by adding someone else to our bedroom. Being attracted to all the things did not equate with wanting all the things all at once. My middle brother was reeling over the fact that, quote, my sister likes boobs. I'm like, which he said would take him a while to get used to or process. I don't understand what was so hard to process. I was still the same person. Now he just knew more about me. The first 3 family members I told were a bit of happenstance. My dad and final family member didn't come till much later after I had decided to go public on Facebook with my bisexuality. On my journey, I listened to podcasts such as Beyond the Block and Questions from the Closet, and watched David Archuleta's coming out video on YouTube, reshaping my opinions on the ideas of queer people within the church. They struck a chord with me, and I identified with them on different levels. Mm-hmm. My decision to come out publicly on Facebook happened in reaction to Elder Oakes' anti-queer talk in the April 2022 conference, and all the anti-queer rhetoric that popped up on my Facebook feed from friends. After having a Facebook argument with a friend who posted an anti-trans meme, that was the last straw on my personal silence on my sexuality. She was dead set on not using someone's preferred pronouns and preferred name because it made her feel upset and uncomfortable, even though me and another friend of hers tried to tell her it was just being courteous to the other person and cost her nothing to do so aside from her discomfort. If the cost of my silence was this type of behavior from other church members, I felt it my duty to come out publicly. I could no longer hide behind my straight presenting marriage. My sexuality was no longer just about me and my business. It was bigger than me. I felt like I was hiding by just being an ally. These people were mine, and I could do much more needed good by including myself in the queer rainbow than sitting outside it. If people knew I was bi, they would think twice about their words and actions if I was in the room. I made a concerted effort to come out to 2 other close friends who lived physically far from me, and to come out to my dad before making my coming out post on Facebook. Coming out to my dad was awkward since I knew from growing up around him he was slightly homophobic. When the family proclamation came out when I was 14, his first comment was, "That'll teach them gays." At the time, I had no idea what the family proclamation had to do with being gay. In more recent years, my dad would make negative comments on gay or trans people when sharing his opinions with me, and I would uncomfortably try to switch out the subject. When I called him up to tell him, I tried to build it up, but ended up blurting it out after begging him not to hang up the phone once my dad had reached his usual 15-minute phone call threshold. I'm pretty sure my dad was taken aback by it. He couldn't stop saying, "It's your choice." And I don't think he knew what else to say. I made sure to let him know that coming out was my choice, but being bi was not. I don't even remember how the conversation ended, just that I allowed him to get off the phone soon after I had said what I had set out to say. Knowing my dad, it wasn't good or bad, but it was about how I had expected it to happen. Once I told my dad, I came out publicly on Facebook August 1st in a 3-part post, which seemed to be received pretty well. My next battle was much more uncomfortable. Jane was going to be out of town for the Relief Society lesson on August 28th and had warned me that the Relief Society president has scheduled the famed Oaks Talk months in advance for this week. She asked me to go in and represent not only for myself, but for her and her non-binary queer kids.
Did I?
You did.
Oh, I don't remember doing that.
I said I would. It was nerve-wracking going into the Relief Society room that day. Not only was my bestie missing, but all of my Facebook friends who had seen my post were missing. It was a small class that day, and I wasn't sure if many of the people missing were just out of town or opting out because they knew the lesson that day would be an uncomfortable one. I couldn't blame them for either reason. I was utterly alone that day, and it was scary. The Relief Society president was teaching because she was passionate in her orthodoxy about the subject and would not hand this one over to anyone else to skim over the less savory subjects she felt were of most importance. I could tell she was trying to rush through everything so that she wouldn't have to take comments that could possibly defy or derail the whole point of her lesson. I wasn't about to let that happen. I openly opposed what the Relief Society president was saying and came out to the entire Relief Society. I spoke out against what was being said, which, to no surprise, wasn't a super popular opinion, and I made lots of people uncomfortable. I made many points. The science of psychology and how gender and attraction isn't a choice. How the church has changed the practice of polygamy and allowing blacks to get the priesthood and also attend the temple. How God wants to give us more, but the prophet refuses to ask the question, and the people aren't ready, so I fear we will be wandering in a spiritual desert until the older generation dies off, and we are ready to receive it.
I am so proud of you. So, what happened next?
Yeah, so what I got from behind the pulpit was not great. She said being gay is just a sexual sin. My response was, being gay isn't about sex. It's about attraction and relationship and pursuing a happy life that is genuine to your feelings of who you are as a person. To deny a person that and tell them they need to be alone forever unlike their straight counterparts, or else they can't achieve the highest glory in heaven where God lives, is cruel. In our religion, even if you're gay and live a life of celibacy, you can live in the same vicinity of God. But because you are not allowed to marry who you choose, you still can't be exalted or live next to God and Christ forever, like your heterosexual counterparts. That doesn't sound like a forgiving God to me, that whom I've been trying to get to know. Blacks being refused the priesthood until late in the 70s isn't the same as not allowing gay marriage inside and at times outside the church, was one of her responses. Yes, it is, was my response. These men were refused the priesthood due to the color of their skin, a thing that couldn't be changed. Gay, lesbian, and trans folks are being refused marriage and families because of their sexual attraction, which psychology claims is part of who they are and can't be changed. This policy is of God and will never change, is what she said. My response was, who are you to tell God what he can and can't change? Our whole religion is based on revelation and God choosing to give us more or changing things when the people need it or are ready to receive it. Look at the Book of Mormon that our Christian counterparts think is false because the Bible is enough on its own. Plus, they think we are just making stuff up. Look at the introduction of polygamy and the eventual stop of it. Look at black men and the priesthood ban and also the temple ban. Look at the precious temple ordinances that we value so much as a church and people and how many times it has changed over the last few decades, let alone since its first introduction. God doesn't change, but people do. And God changes his church to meet the needs of his people.
Amen.
Others in the room spoke up, but most of them seemed neutral in their position. Many disliked the policy personally when it came to queer family or friends, but also felt there was nothing to be done until God and the prophets decided otherwise. Stay faithful and wait it out, and God will work it out in the next life, was the general consensus. I was sad to hear this general message and overall opinion. Most didn't seem to understand that this message to a gay or trans person in and outside the church is the most toxic of all. I tried to convey that to the two people that talked to me after the lesson who were trying to be supportive but still remain neutral. Our church is supposed to be one of hope and happiness in this life, not just the next. This type of messaging is not encouraging for people to stay in this life. They feel unseen, unheard, unvalued, and generally silenced.
That's a very sad story, and I wish I could have been there with you.
It's okay.
Then there would have been one person agreeing with you.
At the very least.
So what has it been like since you came out? Going on 2.5 years ago?
Oh, yeah, that's right, huh? That is a good question. So it's been hard at times, but as a bisexual person in a straight presenting marriage, it's easy to have doubts about why I'm outing myself and feeling like I'm fighting so hard. I'm internally faced with questions I heard posed to other bi folks growing up, as well as what my younger self thought about bi folks. If you can just choose to date men or are already married to one, what's the issue? Why come out? In both scenarios, you're good in God's eyes. What does it matter to you? You're just doing this to get attention because it's popular to do right now. You're not really bi. Yeah.
Sorry.
That's another thing that comes out too. These questions I've heard my entire life make me doubt. I would have loved to have given my younger self permission to explore that part of myself, even if I am happily married to someone of the opposite sex. I know it is very likely one of my kids could fall into the queer spectrum like their mom, and I want them to feel free to explore that part of themselves with no regrets. I feel that everyone should be able to do that inside and outside of the church. As far as me doing the bi thing for attention, I've checked that too. I'm married, but still human, and my head still does turn on a girl or guy I consider really attractive. Yep, very much bi and not for attention. I've been out for almost a couple years now, and claiming the label is still intimidating at times. I'm still a baby queer, getting a little more confident, and will be attending hopefully my second Pride coming up. I missed Pride last year and I was a little sad about that, but I did attend my first Pride a couple years ago with
my family.
Yeah, with you and your youngest kiddo.
Your youngest kiddo.
Oh, my youngest kiddo, that's right. Yeah, so watching David Archuleta's coming out video on YouTube made me realize something. It didn't matter if I didn't identify with the label. I can no longer stay silent in church when someone spews anti-LGBTQ plus rhetoric. Nor will I let anti-LGBTQ plus rhetoric remarks slide by when my family or friends are around. And I might think twice before scrolling past and rolling my eyes on the anti-LGBTQ plus posts on Facebook. The queer community is bigger than any of us thought, and many sit next to you in silence. I was one of them. My story, I hope, will help you to help others think before you speak and act. If you don't know someone in the LGBTQ plus community before, you do now. I hope that might change your negative views on the queer community now because you know someone who is a part of it.
Thank you, Kim, for sharing your story with us. Usually we have suggestions at the end of our episodes as to what people can do to make their communities and their people around them live in a better place. But I think you've covered most of it. I think as we hear more people coming out in church meetings or spewing negative anti-queer stuff, we can speak up. We can say how we feel about the subject. We can work on how we feel about it, either because we are or we know somebody, and we can work on our feelings toward that are based on what the church used to teach. Hopefully no one else will have to sit through another coming out lesson all by themselves.
Thanks for listening to the end. If you enjoyed our show and would like to hear more, please follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this program so you can be notified whenever the next episode drops.
Hey, if you have any comments or suggestions for future topics, please send them to us at ldsloudmouthpodcast@gmail.com. One really long word, no spaces. Thanks to Lynn for editing.
See you next time.
You want to get your backyard summer ready, but you don't want to break the bank? Wayfair gets it. Planning on dining al fresco or relaxing poolside? Wayfair has everything you need to prep your space. Shop now and save up to 70% off during Wayfair's 4th of July clearance. Score huge deals on outdoor furniture, area rugs, and more. We're talking thousands of products for every style and budget. Plus, surprise flash deals July 6th. Don't wait. Shop Wayfair's 4th of July clearance now through July 6th at wayfair.com.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
We have the tech to get food delivered in 15 minutes, but we all have horror stories about buying tickets. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage. Get amazing tickets in just a few taps. Fees are included, so what you see is what you pay. And the Game Time guarantee means authentic tickets at the best price every time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets to concerts, sports, comedy, and more with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply.